Leviticus says you shall not lie with a man. Chris, you're right about that. It also says you shall not eat shellfish, and it is an abomination. Now,
So Jink doesn't like cherry picking. I don't like it either. For example, the law of Moses, or the Mosaic Covenant, which is part of Leviticus, was never given Gentiles. It tells us that in Romans 2. What about Jews that are Christian? Maybe they're supposed to both follow Christ and obey the law of Moses. But in Acts 10, Peter was told that it was okay for him to eat shellfish and pork. And in Galatians 2, when Peter made Gentiles obey the Old Covenant, the Mosaic Law, he was rebuked by the Apostle Paul for that. But why were Jewish Christians no longer to adhere to the law of Moses? Because Jeremiah 31 told us there would be a new covenant coming. Matthew 5 tells us that Jesus fulfilled the old covenant. Luke 22 tells us that the new covenant was brought about when Jesus came. So without Leviticus, do Christians have any basis to be against homosexuality? Well, Jink conveniently forgot to mention reference in Romans 1 that says just that.
You quote the Bible are a huge, they don't realize that they're part of the problem. They don't realize what they're doing. I bet you if you told Chris Broussard the thing about shellfish or the two different cloths, can't have it on the same, time, etc., he'd be like, what?
I think you should be the one saying what, Jink, because every time I've heard you comment on the Bible, it has been as inaccurate as this video. And it isn't any surprise. I mean, Jink isn't a Christian. He doesn't believe in the Bible. He doesn't read it. He doesn't know what it says. He probably didn't come up with this. Probably got this from someone else as ignorant about the Bible as he is, and it just makes the point he wants to make, and so it just gets thrown back out there. Interestingly, I did hear that in an interview that someone did of Jink, that he said that one of the things about the new media is if he makes a mistake, he gets 1,000 emails about it. Well, Jink, the thing is, to know what you're making a mistake about, you have to actually read the emails. This guy must have the busiest inbox in America.
To Chris Broussard, he's not saying you got to go, you got to get out of here. He's just saying you're living in sin. But then we all are. And then Broussard talked about premarital sex, right? And how it's also, living in sin. You're telling me that there's been a campaign to make sure that people who had premarital sex were kicked out of locker rooms?
You missed the point. People having premarital sex are not trying to get the government to promote their behavior. The homosexuals are the ones having a campaign to do that with same-sex.
Absolutely. Well, he had more haters. Jason Collins did. Detroit Lions quarterback Alfonso Smith said the following. He says, 2013, announcing that you are gay is deemed as good news. And the moment someone disagrees, they are a villain, prejudice, or may lose their job.
Haters.
Or hater.
This is so true. He actually doesn't say anything negative, and yet they call him hater. They miss the they miss the irony that they're doing exactly what he said they would do.
You that gay people only want equality, nothing more and nothing less.
Now, although Jink was way off the mark about his comments about how Gentile Christians should be obeying the old covenant given to the Jews, he did get one thing right, and that is that you don't get to the truth through hypocrisy. You don't get to the truth by cherry-picking what you want for yourself and then not for anyone else. So here's the question. Is there any sexual behavior that you don't want the government to promote? Because if there is, then you fall exactly in the same camp as those for traditional marriage. We simply don't want the government to promote certain behaviors that we don't think are good for our society. If you don't think premarital sex or single mothers or incest or polygamy or these things are good, the things that the government should promote, because if the government already is promoting same-sex marriage by having it, well, then it's just a matter of morality. If your morality says, hey, this is okay, for same-sex marriage, then of course you're fine with it. And if you don't think it's good for society, well, of course you're not for it. But it doesn't make a person a bigot. Because if it does, then if you say that you're against anyone else's desires for marriage, then you're a bigot too.